Welcome back. You're watching On The Sport. Now, a reminder of our poll question for tonight. We are asking, should religious leaders have the mandate to discuss politics? Should religious leaders have the mandate to discuss politics? Send us your yes or no answer to 8778, and I'm going to bring you the poll result towards the end of this show. But a very quick look, Bishop, at some of the comments here. I have Helen Mirembe, who says, righteousness exalts a nation. Therefore, the future of every nation is in the hands of God, and God uses religious leaders to influence his will. But someone does agree here and says no, because he says religion and politics do not mix. Actually, it's Kagwa who says, I think the bishop is lost. Religion and politics conflict one another.
You know what? This is a good place to be lost.
Let
me explain.
Yes.
To be lost in expressing concern for the well-being of the people, their welfare, their peace, reconciliation, peaceful transition. I tell you what, I wish the whole country was lost in that direction.
Bishop, let's talk about one of the key issues that I think rallies support, even from you as religious leaders, the issue of the economy and the state of the nation at the moment. We have the opposition on one side that have, of course, through the FOC activities which are banned, and obviously the walk-to-work protest, clamored for change, of course, because of the basis of the state of the economy, inflation, and, of course, the standard of living. But the president has one thing on his side that probably will play to his advantage. And I'm wondering why you, as religious leaders, are calling for change at a time when the president has one thing called oil. In 2015, there will be a lot of money coming into this nation through the sale of oil that will address some of the issues that are afflicting this country. Unemployment, inflation, and probably the standards of living of the people, and of course service delivery, which I know through your citizens' action are saying is not addressed. How then do you see a man who in 2015 will be extremely strong and probably gain a lot of support for that, leave office in 2016? If he still has the support of the people, why leave?
In fact, I would say that's a good time to leave. He has done well. We have, what a wonderful gift to bequeath to the country. What a wonderful, it's very good for a leader to leave when they are strong, not when they are weak. Because actually, it's not good. And I think that that's the challenge in terms of the understanding of leadership. So, but let me also say this, that it's not about the president, Museveni, what he does or doesn't do. We must remember it's about Uganda. It's about the country. It's about the destiny of our children, of our children's children. That's what this is really primarily about. So any one of us submits to the higher value of the country. And it is for country. It is for the future of this country, for the future of our children. So we have oil wealth that has been discovered during the period I certainly know that prospects began prior, but this regime has certainly, the leadership under Yoweri Museveni has really brought it out, the processes. And what a wonderful thing to be able to hand the baton to another when it is well, properly managed. So it is critical that processes, legal framework, institutions are put in place. And what a wonderful way to be able to say, here is something which during my time as leader of this country, this has been achieved. We pass on to succeeding generations. So actually, it's a very good time for him to consider this. However, we also need to simply acknowledge, we can't hide our heads in the sand and not acknowledge that after 25, 26 years in leadership, frankly, it's a good time. It's really a good time. And the other motivation for us is this is a year in which we celebrate Jubilee, 50 years. What an opportune time for us to be able to say the next 50 years must surely be different. There's a lot to be proud about in the last 50 years. But let's also be honest. The turbulence, the blood that has flowed in our cities. It's not good for us. We must bequeath succeeding generations something better than what we've seen.
Yes,
all this works together. This hour is, the timing is good. This moment is especially significant. And we do not want to wait until the crash 2015.
Yes. 16,
when everybody, you know, the problem in this country is everything seems to stop and then you wait for the next elections. It's actually not good, because suddenly laws must be passed. Suddenly there's no money for, no, we need to be better prepared. So this is a good time. Let me be very clear.
Yes.
Let me be very clear that this year, 2012, is a good year to finish this work and be able to restore term limits in the Constitution, get a commitment from our president to say, yes, indeed, I have served the country well. He has a lot to go. There have been mistakes. He's a human being. Let's not dwell on that. Let's be able to say yes. And then he can pass on the baton. Once that is done, we have another 4 years to actually be more positive. You see, the problem in this country is it's all negative. It's fighting, this
Bishop,
and the other.
statement.
Let's, for a change,
Yes.
really get on a positive. Let's get away from the contest on the street. Religious leaders in this country, we have been very clear. The contest on the street is not going to lead us anywhere. It's confrontation. It's more police. It's more tear gas. It's more boys on the street who are ready to die. No, let's get it off the street. Dialogue, dialogue, dialogue.
Bishop,
it's time for dialogue.
Bishop, in your statement from the Citizens Action for Restoration of Peace, you say, restoration of term limits, you say, as we celebrate 50 years of independence, we believe this is the right time to reclaim the solemn declaration that power belongs to the people. Are you saying the power at this moment does not belong to the people?
What we are saying is simply this, that the restoration of term limits, the putting back term limits in the Constitution, is actually not a demand of the political elite, of the opposition, we know this is across the party lines, this is across the religious divide, this is across the whole country, north, south, east. Let me tell you, this country is definitely united on this issue. So yes, for government to respond to this, government will have shown itself to be a government of the people. For Parliament to actually proceed and do this, you see, governments have to be responsive to the call of the people. So we are not using power belongs to the people as to say that hitherto that is not the case. No, we are simply saying power belongs to the people. The people are speaking very clearly. I mentioned to you the Citizens Manifesto process that went across this country, consulted over 10,000 Ugandans.
Yes.
All of them. So, requesting, let's restore term limits to our Constitution. This is a demand of the people.
Right.
And we really trust that our parliamentarians will do what the people are asking, our government will do what the people are asking, restore term limits into the Constitution this year.
Right.
And number two, our president, who's done good for this country, will also be able to say, I want to be the first to end well, and be able to say to this country, yes, I have finished.
But you see, your critics are saying he is a clergy, a group of religious leaders, the men of God, who unfortunately have fallen prey to politics. Again, when you said that the religious politicians have always come back to the church to help, to ask the church for help when they need it, you seem as a church to continue to accept what? Presents, the politics of patronage, that your bishops continue to accept presents from His Excellency the President.
Let's be very clear.
If you accept that, how do you deny him the opportunity to actually use the church?
No, let's be very clear. Let's
Yes.
separate the issues. We religious leaders, when we have gone wrong, the public is right to challenge us. So,
Yes.
if we have received gifts we ought not to, if we have demanded, if we have become part of a patronage network, a patronage system, please tell us.
You have
We
continuously,
too,
in all
we
your
too.
fundraisings in the churches, always called
So,
upon
let
the
that
office
be
of the
said.
president and the
Let
president
that be
himself
said.
to support you.
Let that be said.
He will need support back.
But no. See, that's the problem, Maurice. You're now making it an individual thing. You're now making it this all about our president. And I think that's really the danger. That's really the
But
danger.
he's the person you're calling for change.
Well, because actually he is the person who has been president for 25, 26 years. So, but separate the issues. Remember what I just said. This is for country. This is for country. The country's future. This is for country. A peaceful transition. This is to do with bequeathing a better future for our children.
All right.
That is what this is about.
Okay, Bishop, we asked earlier in our poll question, we asked, should religious leaders, and we were asking, should religious leaders have the mandate to discuss politics? The results are in, and Bishop, this will be interesting. 85% say yes, and of course 15% say no. So 85% are saying, Bishop, religious leaders have the mandate to discuss politics. That vindicates your point. But now let's wind up. We have run out of time. You have a new campaign that's come up, the campaign to have children be offered lunch in school. This is where I want us to wind up on. And you've actually sacrificed some of your money. But take us through your pain for that and why you actually have sacrificed some of your money to endeavor to have some children have lunch.
Just a quick comment on the poll.
On the poll, yes.
I really would hope that we all, when we speak about politics, we make a distinction between partisan, in other words, taking sides with a political party, belonging to, and making that distinction with talking about issues that affect the lives of the people.
Your parishioners, the members of your church.
Not just the members of my church, actually, the whole country.
Yes, I'm saying members of the church.
Yes.
Everyone, whether it's a mosque.
Yeah. And I think that is why the people are saying, yeah, that is actually real politics, frankly. Partisan politics is only a smaller part of it. And so education is a huge thing in this country. It's actually not just about lunch for our children. It's quality education for our children. It's bequeathing this country children that have a future, a country that has a future because its human resource is well trained. Currently where we stand, our children are really not learning. I give you 3 quick illustrations.
Yes, very quickly.
One,
yes.
The study that has been done by Uwezo shows that children who are in P3, specifically 93% of the children in primary 3, cannot read an English story for P2. 73-75% of the children in P3 cannot do a sum, an arithmetic problem, for children in P2. What does that say? Children, most of the children, all the children in P3 really should be in P1. Secondly,
is that related to how?
No, that's the point. I'm coming to you.
Yes.
Children are not learning. That's the point. Dropout rates. We have now dropout rates in primary school that stand at 80%. 80%. In other words, completion rates are 20%. So why are children dropping out in our primary school system? And by the way, compared to the regional average in East Africa, completion rates in the region, 80%. Completion rates in Uganda, 20%. The reason for these high dropout rates,
yes,
and I must admit,
yes,
we have excellent high enrollment rates. One of the reasons...
And an excellent education system, though not the process.
Really, I wouldn't say that we have a good idea, but the implementation of it is dreadful. Because, look, the fact that we have 83% of our young people, we have a high unemployment rate.
Yes.
83% unemployment rate,
yes,
from our education system. So I don't think that you can actually say we have an excellent education system. But we have a good idea. The question is implementation. The point is this. Are our children learning? Those indicators show to you, no, that is not happening. And one of the reasons is children are in school but on an empty stomach. 80% of the children in our primary school system do not have a meal during the day. What does that mean? That most from midday onwards, it's all wasted. And I can also tell you that affects their own development as people, development, their mental development, their entire development. So that is one. Of course, I could tell you the other reason is we actually don't have toilets in our schools. The high dropout rates because of the girl child is to do with inadequate water sanitation facilities. So My focus on lunch
Yes.
is it's dire. You know, at between 3 and 4 o'clock, I'm really hungry. And I'm thinking, I'm an older man. My metabolism rates are generally low.
Slower, yeah.
And I'm thinking, a little child, who the last thing he or she had in the morning
Probably was supper. Even.
Exactly. So and you know, the other issue that is really amazing, you feel hungry because you hope to eat. Our children have even, some of them given up feeling hungry, but their bodies are hungry.
Bishop,
if we are to get our children to learn,
yes,
our children need to have lunch.
Right.
I have said,
yes,
no lunch until our children have lunch. It is our priority. Our children have lunch at school. By government changing policy so that parents have a mandate, they are required to pay. Secondly, the kids who can't afford, that we have processes in which through the social protection mechanism they are provided for.
Bishop, we support you and really are amazed at your commitment to that goal. I'm sure we'll call you back to discuss the education sector. For now, we thank you so much for your time. And viewers, because of time constraints, that brings us to the end of tonight's debate. Join us again next week when we bring another riveting topic and a guest. That's all from On The Sport. Thanks for watching. Good evening.